Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. I am the niche fragrance collector. I've always been into perfumes. I've always been into beautiful smells. And so before I discovered that there was a thing called niche perfumery, I had a massive designer collection. I mean, Chanel, Dior's, what else? Yves Saint Laurent. I mean, you name all the big houses and I had their perfumes in more than just one. So I've started a TikTok channel, and some of the questions that are coming through from there are, if you're brand new to niche, if you're starting at Sauvage, what's the logical place to move across? And what I've done on purpose. So if you like Sauvage, then this is the logical step. And then if you're into niche, then there are other fragrances in this lineup here that I'd like to put forward. Okay, so let's categorize this. The easiest thing to do is, what is Sauvage? I mean, where does it fall on the fragrance wheel? And one thing that I want to show is the Michael Edwards fragrance wheel. This is an awesome way to quickly identify where do you live when it comes to your interest in smells. Very early on, I used to be very aromatic, very dry woods kind of guy. As you can see, Sauvage falls in that aromatic category. If we start here, where do we go from there? Very long intro, but you get my gist. So before we go any further, let's categorize this beautiful fragrance here. So, classic, aromatic. It has those woody components to it. There are some spices. I know that in looking at the notes, there is vanilla in there too. So it's a really, I mean, when I was buying designers, I really enjoyed wearing Sauvage. I mean, it's one of those classics. The only downside to Sauvage is that everybody loves wearing Sauvage too, hence why it's the company's biggest seller. So if you want to move through or move away from that, try to find something that's a little bit different, then let me propose the following. Now, before I go any further, before we start on the first one, I want to put an honorable mention to Creed Aventus. Now, this is a spectacular fragrance. It's one of those fragrances a lot of people talk about, and so I thought, well, I'm not going to bring it up here. If you like that aromatic kind of fragrances, then Creed Aventus is definitely one that I would recommend to you. I do have a Creed in the lineup, but we'll go into that. Now, to start off with, if you like Sauvage, then the most logical jump across, in my opinion, is this beautiful fragrance here. Cedrat Boise. So if you're brand new to niche, Mancera is a great place to start your journey. They're very generous. It's a deceiving looking bottle, but in actual fact, that's 120 mils. I know here in Australia, it's $239. I'll put the pricing for what the US is. But Cedrat Boise is one of those instant love, both for the wearer, and the moment you put it on, you're like, where have you been all my life? And also for those who are actually interacting with this fragrance. It has wonderful sillage. It has great longevity. And if I were to categorize it, I would say it starts off with like a very citrus, beautiful opening, very engaging opening. It then goes into like a fruity sort of component to it. And then finally it dries down to woods. Now, because of those citrus and fruity notes early on, the woods are not heavy. It's actually super appealing. There's nothing in here that is offensive. There's nothing in here that you're like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. Stunning fragrance, and it's like summer in a bottle. I mean, this one here is fantastic over the warmer months, whether from spring onwards. It's not one that I would normally wear through the cooler months. It's a bit too bright, a bit too sparkling, and it does, in summer it seems to bloom better, whereas in the colder months it doesn't perform as well, in my opinion. Again, if we use Sauvage as a starting point, and you want to have something that's a little bit more complex, a little bit more masculine leaning, so this one can be, because of the fruity notes, there's a softness to it. Okay, so this one here is by a company called Bond Number 9. I've always loved their bottle design, totally unique. Now this fragrance here is an absolute winner. This is masculinity now. Whereas this one here, you could probably fall a little bit in that unisex category. This one here is beautifully masculine. It starts off, it does have a citrus opening, but it has a greenness to it, and it is very aromatic. I'm going to say that the notes of cedarwood and vetiver down in the base are already creating a beautiful, it's part of that opening. There is, as I said, it's instant masculinity. So if you want something that is fresh, something that commands attention, something that is unique and different and has a different evolution. The other thing that I find with this particular fragrance, I know that Bond No. 9 use essential oils in their fragrances. You're going to find that it actually evolves and also plays different on different skins. So the way this wears on me is different to the way it wears on my sons who also wear this fragrance. If I were to categorize it, I would put it down as a citrus opening, green notes in the heart, and with wonderful woods, masculine woods in that base. Fresh, confidence. This is just a really glorious, confident fragrance. So if you're a little bit deeper into niche now, these are the ones that I would begin to explore. One that I've spoken about, which I have a deep love for, is Himalaya. I actually sprayed, I was a bit cheeky, I sprayed this on my arm before I started. It's one of those fragrances that subtle confidence. There's something, it's not, whereas Chez Bond all comes out already strong, a little bit in your face. Himalaya seems to have this gradual build. It starts off very subtle. It's funny, it starts off with citrus notes, and that's what's officially listed, things like bergamot and grapefruit, things like that. But honestly, when I spray it for the first time, it doesn't have that strong, bright citrus that you would expect from things like grapefruit and bergamot. There is a subtlety in there. I think it's, if you want to, to sort of define that opening, it's fresh and clean. And I almost put it down to, it's almost like a sandalwood, has a slight woodiness to it, but not like a heavy cedar wood. So a sandalwood and lime. That's where actually, on card it's so one-dimensional. But on skin, and it's one in the Creed lineup that doesn't get a lot of airplay. I find that Himalaya plays really well. It has great longevity. The one thing that's impressive about Himalaya is that females have a nose or a radar for it. When I'm wearing it, the women in my family are instantly picking up. I know that my wife, she enjoys when I wear this fragrance. So here's a recommendation. Don't put it on card. Card, it smells a little bit, and I'm sorry to say, this smells a little bit boring. But the moment you put it on skin, you're getting something, you're getting another experience. And I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe this one here probably doesn't get enough airplay because, yeah, when you go testing, you obviously put it on a card. People are reluctant to put on skin in case they don't like it. But here's one, test it on skin, see how it plays for you. If I were to categorize it, I would say that it's a citrus, even though I said it's not a classic citrus, but it does have a citrus, then into woods, and then finally it has like a musky, powdery sort of dry down. It's a very gentle dry down. Doesn't command the same space as this guy would. As an aromatic fragrance, something unique and different, 100% absolute winner. So moving on, I'm a big fan of Penhaligons. I've done a lot of other episodes on the portraits range, the ones with the animals on there. Now, Brilliantly British, my understanding is this was a 2020 release. This one here, I think, is a limited edition. So if you're able to get your hands on this one here, this is another one that I don't recommend you spray on card. I actually accidentally sprayed it on my fingers. This one's simple. So if I were to categorize it, it's lavender with toffee, salted caramel evolution to lavender. It seems to be the most simple, aromatic, barbershop, masculine, fresh kind of fragrance, but it works. It just works. This is another one where the women in my family have a nose for. The moment I'm wearing Brilliantly British, they instantly are picking up on this fragrance. It's a Moorish kind of fragrance too. It's one where people want to, well, again, the girls in my family, when I'm wearing this, they literally start burying their nose on me and going, and saying how awesome I smell. This is one that I haven't seen a lot of airplay on. I would recommend it. This is one, go out, test it on your skin. You're gonna find that it has the aromatic qualities of a Sauvage, but with that salted caramel component to it, it just brings another element. It is super, it's funny, I was gonna say it is super masculine, but also super sexy. My brain sort of got caught. Is it masculine or is it sexy? I'm gonna say it's both. On card, I find that it's like lavender on overdrive. Whereas on skin, you're getting those other evolutions of that salted caramel, that toffee component to it. Gorgeous fragrance, strongly recommend it. And the other thing I love, if it is a limited edition, I mean, it's a cool as bottle to have on your shelf. All right, now we're moving into the last two. are, I'm going to say unique, all right? So this is a far cry, and I've purposely put them as far away from Sauvage as possible, because if you're brand new to anything niche and you pick up your Sauvage bottle and you compare it to these two here, you're going to think I'm crazy, okay? However, they do live, these two, they do live in the aromatic family. And when you take them for the beauty that they are, these two fragrances here are absolute winners. Now, Absinthe Boreal. I always pronounce it badly. Absinthe Boreal. The house is Maison Crivelli. New house. Man, this fragrance is spectacular. So here's another one where it has to be on skin. If I were to categorize it as a sparkling citrus opening, different to this guy here. So this one here is like a fruity, fun opening. This is a clean, fresh, sparkling citrus. It goes into like a herbal sort of heart, and then finally it goes into these woods. The deceiving thing about this fragrance is you feel that it doesn't project. When I first was exploring the Maison Crivelli, I remember spraying this and I'm like, nah, it doesn't have enough punch. I want a punchy kind of fragrance. It has a sneaky way of it just remains. It just stays and stays. It is one of those fragrances where it is equal part confident, it is equal part fresh and sparkling, it is equal part woods, it is equal part masculine, and yet there's also a softness to it that a woman can comfortably wear this. I know that my wife, she actually loves wearing this. On her, it does smell a little bit different. Again, I love the fact with niche perfumery, because of the oils, it interacts with your own body chemistry. It creates its own, it creates its own magic, essentially. This is a white shirt. This is quiet confidence. Again, I've been saying about all of them, but go out and test this. I would strongly recommend the whole collection of Maison Crivelli, really spectacular fragrances. And Absinthe Boreal is one of those bright, sparkling, fresh, just a wonderful aromatic fragrance. Just wonderful aromatic fragrance. The last one, I left the Xerjoff to the end. Now this one here, I'm gonna say Uden is an enigma, all right? Because you wouldn't think that this actually should fit into the aromatic family. You would think that this should be categorized more in like a gourmand. It has things like rum, it has things like coffee, vanilla, it has a rose in there also. For me, this is aromatic, okay? So it is a unique and different style of fragrance. It has its own orchestra. The way this thing just evolves and moves is a spectacular fragrance. So it has a candied-like citrus opening. It has it's an opening which is different. All right, so it's not a classic citrus. There is a candied component to it. That's the best way that I can describe it. It then evolves into this woody, but also there's meant to be a rum note. I'm not picking up that particular rum note. I am picking up a rose though. So it has a slight rose component to it. And then finally in the base, it does go down into the woods. It has sandalwood and guaiac wood. So it has that nice sort of woody component to it. But the vanilla really pops on this particular fragrance. Funny, I find that it's citrusy, but woods, but vanilla. How does that work as an aromatic when it should be more, I guess, in the oriental sort of component of things, or the amberies? But I think, look, it has an aromatic airiness to it, but completely unique. I find that, again, for me, Uden is an orchestra when I'm wearing it. It starts in a particular place. It does evolve as my body heats up, and as I move around, the Xerjoffs, different components of the Xerjoff begin to pop. As I said, I do get a rosy sort of element to it, but that citrusy opening that I'm getting at the start is definitely staying there and keeping it sort of vibrant and alive on these. So if you're into your Sauvage, I would recommend these particular fragrances, and I'm going to go one further. So here I explained that this guy here has some elements of rose and some elements of vanilla and all the rest of it. These two, I would smell these two side by side. I would put one on one arm and one on the other arm. You're going to be surprised how similar-esque these two fragrances are. However, be prepared, if you do fall in love with Uden, be prepared for the price behind it. I think this one here is about oh, I'll put it right here for 50 mils, whereas I know Sauvage is this for, you know, say 120 mils. So you just know, but the difference is with the Xerjoffs, they're using just awesome oils. They actually put quite a lot of work in creating something that is unique, very different. The other great thing about niche perfumery is that all these fragrances will smell different on different people. So it does work with your own body chemistry. One thing I have found that sometimes I find some of the designer fragrances are a little bit linear in their approach, meaning that I find that Sauvage smells like Sauvage no matter who it's on. It has that Sauvage signature to it. And I know that some people, that's what they like about it, which is perfect. For my side of things, I do love fragrances that actually play differently on different individuals, and different notes get accentuated as I'm moving around. And this is a classic on this one. As I'm moving around, I'm getting different parts of that fragrance popping. I also find that this guy here, super dynamic, very unique. So there you have it. So upcoming, I have a polo. I had a huge Ralph Lauren collection. So I'm gonna look at the polos and look at the dry woods style of fragrances. Hope you enjoyed that. Any recommendations, put them forward to me. Anything that you think that I should look at, and I'll see if I used to have it in my collection when it comes to designers, and then I would love to put forward some other suggestions within that niche field. Thanks everyone. See you on the next episode.